Hello everyone, Father John Dunn with you on this, the 27th Sunday of the Church's year. It's also still week 3 lockdown in Auckland, and we're waiting on tenterhooks to see what's coming up in this coming week. It's also school holidays coming up. So lots to do, and it's getting harder. So special encouragement to you. If it's getting too hard, please reach out. That's the gospel call, that we need to reach out to come to where God intends us to be, to the fullness of life. Parishioners, please keep ringing one person a day and spread that love and that holding people in care. Now, the readings today raise a very difficult subject, far too big for a little homily like this, but we can make a start. Let's just start with you. Maybe you have been through a very difficult marriage, a painful breakup, a horrendous divorce proceedings, and then you find yourself on your own, struggling with grief, with who you are, and also then with the challenges of being either a single parent or a shared parent and worrying about the children. It's an awful reality, and it's far too common. However, there is good news, and there is good news always in the readings, and let's have a look and see what we can find. In the first reading, the second story of creation, where God creates man and woman, and the man recognizes his true self in her, and she is given to him to walk alongside him, as not behind, alongside him in equality. The Pharisees then try to test Jesus about divorce, but before we do that, we have to understand what marriage was. Marriage was a relationship between families or clans. For example, two adjacent families who farmed the land might marry a couple of their children and share the land. In this case, the children would be betrothed as little ones, and then the bride would be brought in when their time was ready. The bride price would be paid, and the sharing of the families would begin. Now, when a man, notice it's a man, it's a totally patriarchal society, sends her back, he has to provide a writ. The writ is to say, I'm finished with her, you can arrange another marriage for her, and the relationship between the families is likewise probably abrogated. Pain all around. Now, what has this got to say to us? I think Jesus' response is important. His response speaks of the radical equality of man and woman. And while the relationship is intended to be permanent, and therefore you cannot treat each other like an object to be discarded, it is important also to note, in the light of the rest of the gospel, that no one is obliged to stay suffering in a situation which is death-dealing. Many families these days are ravaged by different forms of violence: physical violence, psychological violence, sexual violence, all kinds. No one is obliged, that is not marriage, no one is obliged to stay in that situation which damages you or your children. That said, however, the call to living through something like this, the gospel call is that we should not do it alone. Imagine somebody, this is for us all, comes into the church, and there comes in the hurt, broken, needing support and love, and no one speaks to him or to her. And the children are there likewise, left or looked down upon. Contrast the opposite. What happens when somebody goes to that person, says hello, welcome to our parish, what's going on, I am, you are, and the person feels a little bit of acceptance. The following week they might come back and there is a relationship there. How are you getting on? Before long, there is a network which holds that person and the children there. Jesus' words about welcoming the children are very, very important in the pastoral care of divorce. Pope Francis describes the church in this situation as a field hospital where there is healing, but there's also a bigger family which can hold There are bigger subjects like marriage after divorce, communion, all of these things. But the fundamental point is that such people must be in our church, be at home there, be loved as a beloved son or daughter of God. Perhaps I can just suggest that we spend a few minutes in silence prayer with these readings, and just maybe at the end of it you might, with the Holy Spirit's help, know what to do in terms of holding someone in love or what path to take. Lots of encouragement, and God bless us all in these days.